So, Matty, I'll start with you. Memphis stays alive, kicks the crap out of Golden State. The trend of playing fantastic basketball without Ja Morant, that continues. How do you feel about capitalizing right now and maybe a little value as the Warriors drop to plus 250 to win the finals or plus 115 to win the West?
Yeah, I don't think this is value at all. Like, I really think that this line is still totally just detached from where it should be. And it has a lot to do with the Warriors' opponents, why I think this. So basically, the Warriors were a distant second behind the Suns in terms of betting odds for most of the season. And the only thing that's changed since then is that Devin Booker got injured and then came back. So it's a wash at this point. But the Warriors looking good has been more about playing the Denver Nuggets, who are not a great team, and then playing the Grizzlies, who, despite having a banged-up Desmond Bane and now not having Ja Morant, and also playing a few games without Steven Adams, they've still had to, basically be life and death in most of these games. And anyone who's watched these games, I think, with the exception of last night, can tell that this is more about the Warriors struggling than the Grizzlies playing well. We've seen open shots that have been missed. We've just seen the Warriors play bad defense. So I don't think anything's happened to show that the Warriors are a better team than the Suns. Actually, when I think when all of us went to sleep last night, the Warriors were favored over the Suns. They were minus 105 to win the Western Conference. That line has started to move, and we're seeing the Suns at minus 115. If this is the conference finals matchup, I think we see the Suns get above minus 150, maybe even up to minus 200. And I kind of think this market is just broken right now. So the long answer is no, I don't really want it. I have no interest in the Warriors right now.
All right, Nick, Morant's unlikely to play the rest of the season, or the rest of the series, rather. Could be the season as well. Grizzlies 21-6 without him now this year. What do you think about Memphis here making a 3-1 comeback? We've seen Golden State obviously lose a 3-1 lead before in the finals 2016 against LeBron and the Cavs. You can get plus 700 Memphis to win this series right now in the DK Sportsbook.
Yeah, plus 700 for Memphis. I mean, Golden State minus 1,100, which still says a lot about the confidence level that the bookmakers have in the Warriors. I thought Golden State was going to win this game handily last night, so I was completely wrong about that. I mean, the door is wide open after a game where you go down by 55 points at one point late in the third quarter. I mean, obviously that game got away from Golden State early, but the way that Memphis continued to pour it on, even with the bench players, I think was a little bit alarming if you're Golden State. Chances are I think the Warriors do win one out of the next two games here. I would be very surprised if they end up blowing this series. That would be really an all-time shock. But I like a lot of what Matt said. It does feel like the betting markets, especially the futures markets, shifted once Devin Booker went down and once that Suns-Pelican series became a little bit more competitive than people thought. And it never really went back to the levels that it should have gone back to, which was the Suns being major favorites in the Western Conference. They were the best team in the NBA by far for the entire regular season. The Warriors were neck and neck with the Suns for like the first third of the season, and were just an average to slightly above average team for most of the second half of the year. And that's kind of the team that they've looked like in the playoffs as well. So I think Golden State finishes off Memphis, but I'd be betting the Suns to make it to the finals. I don't love the odds on Golden State.
All right, Ryan, I mean, Memphis received contributions from up and down its roster. 7 players finished the win, having scored in double figures. But is this all part of Golden State's master plan, wanting to close out the series at home?
I don't know if that is necessarily part of the plan. I think they want and need rest when they can get it, which would be winning last night. But I've seen a trend to where in these playoffs, your leaders, your best players on the team, your whole team follows that leader. So like this last game that the Sixers played, Embiid didn't really show up. Harden, I would not say is a leader on that team by any means, especially when it comes to impact on winning. But if Embiid doesn't show up, then why would anybody else show up? Same thing with this Warriors last night. Okay, Steph, Draymond, they're not really showing up. They're making mental mistakes. They're turning the ball over. They're not shooting well. Clay, he didn't show up. So why would anybody else show up? So that's why you saw Memphis go up to a 55-point lead. It didn't look like the Warriors were motivated. Some of those veteran teams kind of are able to turn on the switch. We've seen LeBron do that his whole career. I think Steph, Clay, Draymond have rings, knows what it takes, aren't freaking out about this loss, and are kind of, in a way, playoff coasting to where, they now realize this game goes back to San Francisco. Now it's time to turn it on. Now it's time to win Game 6.